Yes, that's a very good point. A good argument against. Shops, for example, might lose quite a lot of customers. So, any more arguments you want me to add? No? Okay, let's stop here. Now, looking at the notes we've made on the board, what do you think would be the best way of organising your composition for this task? Any ideas?
A paragraph is the arguments for, a paragraph is the arguments against, and an introduction and a conclusion?
Well, that's certainly one way of dealing with the task. You could do it that way, but I want you all to have another look at the notes on the board. Can you see any problems organising your answer that way? Look at the two lists.
Nearly all our points are in favour of banning cars. We've only got 3 arguments against.
Yes, it would be difficult to write a balanced composition, wouldn't it? But you don't have to use the for and against approach. For example, if you feel strongly one way or the other about a certain topic, and you have lots of good points to argue your case, you can simply give one side of the argument. You can say whether you agree or disagree with a statement in the writing task, and then support your opinion with all the arguments you've thought of. Even if you don't have a strong opinion, but after brainstorming for ideas you find you're left with a one-sided list, like ours, then you can focus on whichever side has the most points.
So we can write a composition giving either only the arguments for or only the arguments against. We don't have to include both sides.
Yes, but as I said, only do that if you have a lot of good arguments for one side.
And should we include all the arguments we've thought of? I mean, here we've got 9 arguments in favour of banning cars from city centres. Do we have to discuss all of them in the competition?
Well, 9's probably too many. You won't have the time or the space to cover that many points. What you should do after you've brainstormed all the ideas you can think of is choose 3 or 4 of the strongest arguments, the ones that are most convincing.
Which should we start with, the most convincing or the least convincing?
Oh, you should put the reason you think is most important first, and then the second most important, and so on. And remember to back them up with examples, otherwise they don't carry any weight.
When we did advantages and disadvantages and for and against competitions, we said that they should have 4 paragraphs. If we use this one-sided approach, is 4 paragraphs about right too?
You'll probably find you'll need more than 4 for this approach. This one should have an introduction, followed by at least 3 paragraphs each giving one of the 3 main reasons for your opinion, and including examples to support them, and a conclusion.
Where do we give our personal opinion? In the conclusion, like in the other kinds of composition?
Wouldn't it be better to put it in the introduction, in this type of composition?
That's right. Start by saying what your opinion is, and then in the following paragraphs you can back up your opinion with the most important arguments you've thought of. And what should you put in the conclusion?
I'd repeat my opinion and perhaps stress which reason I find the most persuasive.
Or the consequences of imposing or not imposing a ban on cars. We could round it off by saying how banning cars would make cities better places to live in.
That's right. And before you start writing, remember to make a plan. But don't waste time copying out the title of the composition. Remember, you only have 40 minutes for everything. To think of ideas, to decide which approach is the most appropriate for the task, to make a plan, and to write your composition. And you should leave enough time at the end for checking. That's a lot to do in 40 minutes.